Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Trailblazers Radio. More specifically, you're tuned into the Author's Alley. I am your host, Mr. Frederick Beatty, and again, I want to thank you guys so very much for tuning in to us. You guys could have been anywhere else, but you guys are right here with us. We most definitely appreciate that, and we thank you for that. So, have a very special guest in the building with me tonight, and we're gonna get to her in just a moment. But before we do that, I want to throw some things out here really quickly for you guys and just let you guys know what we got going on and also what we're doing. So first and foremost, this particular show is proudly sponsored by My Life Has Destiny Ministries, and it is presented by Television Productions' upcoming movie Cry Wolf. Just want to let you guys know that really quickly, but also want you guys to continue to follow us on our Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and also our podcast webpage at Trailblazers Radio. Please follow us there. Like and share the pages. Also, we have awesome content that we put out every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday evenings for you guys. Make sure you guys keep your eyes and ears on the ground with us with that for us. We also upload our podcast audio upload the podcast audio to Anchor, so it's also distributed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, um, Google Podcasts, Caster FM, wherever you get your audio podcast, you can listen there. Last but most definitely not least, I want to thank all of our listening and our viewing audience, because without you guys and also without God, we just don't exist, and we're not able to give you this wonderful and great content that we're able to give you week in and week out. So we want to really thank you guys for just being that support system for us and just being here for us. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We thank you so very much. So we appreciate that. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, long-winded. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, this young lady that I have in the building with me does not need an introduction. However, I'm going to give her the best one that I know I could possibly give. So first and foremost, a little history on how we met. I met this young lady actually what a couple of months ago during
Yes.
we have a mutual friend, Miss Lori Aravallo, and
Yay.
big ups to her. Oh my gosh, I love that lady to life. Oh my goodness, and I gotta get her back here, but that's for another time. But we met through a mutual friend. She had a conference last in February, and first of all, it was awesome. And
Yes.
me and this young lady had a chance to sit down and talk about a few things, and also I watched her talk to another young lady, just really just giving her very sound and um, awesome advice about certain things and how a woman should handle certain things and how certain things should be handled. And I was literally in awe of that, because I saw how the young lady responded in such a positive manner to what she was being poured into and what she was being talked to and what she was being told. So that number one piqued my interest, and then number two, she's an author and she has a book, so we're going to talk about that as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I want to introduce to you guys none other than Miss Zenodia, Zenovdia Love. Miss Love, Miss Z, how are you?
I am doing well. How are you?
Doing wonderful, thank you. And first and foremost, thank you so very much for taking the time out of your evening to be here with me for a little bit and just talk about who you are and what you do and your book and what you have going on and what's coming for you. Thank you. I
Yes.
appreciate that.
Yes. Yes. So my name is Zenovdia Love. First of all, I'd like to really appreciate you for giving me the opportunity to be on your Trailblazer platform. Man, that word trailblazer. Um, I had the opportunity, even before I go into introducing myself, realize that that word trailblazer is very profound. You know,
Mm,
trailblazer. Like, what trail are we leaving those? Who are we leaving those examples and those paths for? When I look at it, it looks like when you look at trailblazer, like a risk taker,
mm,
right? A risk taker. And I just thought about that word trailblazer. When you take that risk taker, that mentality of a risk taker is doing it no matter what or however it looks. I'm going to do it. If I have support or if I don't have support, I'm going to do it. And then what fire are you leaving behind? Who are you igniting in this season? Who are you sparking the movement for in this season? So before I introduce myself, I wanted to just let you know that word trailblazer is so profound. I mean, it just pops out like I need you to dive into Trailblazer. And then not even realizing, Mr. Frederick, that that was my mascot for my university. Um,
Really?
Christian University. Yes, yes. And so I'm like, oh my God, just the invite was just like threw me off my feet, not even realizing that that was also my same mascot for my university. So wanted to get
Wow.
that out of the way. Just a prophetic word there, that trailblazer. Who are we leaving a trail for in this season? Who are we? We are the pioneers of our now generation. So thank you so much for the invite. But my name is Zenovdia Love, and I'm AKA Z. I'm originally from Kentucky, by the highways of Nashville. I was married after 17 years, went through a life after divorce. It was an experience. I was raised with five boys. I'm the only girl growing up. And then, of course, after I got married, my mom adopted my little sister, Brianna. And, unfortunately, she went home to be with the Lord in year 2020 due to a tragedy.
Mm.
But I am so uber excited about being here, on your platform. And currently, I'm residing here in Florida. And here in Florida, I have an administrative services on wheels where I go into organizations and I actually help them get set up ethically when it comes to small businesses. So it's called Us So Administrative Services on Wheels. That means my wheels come to ensure that you are structured, and make sure that you are sound when it comes to business. Oftentimes, we launch out into business and we don't have operations set up. Well, I'm that girl, the administrative services on wheels. If you sow into me, your business will reap the harvest. So I do that here in Florida. I'm also a mentor. I'm also a tutor to ESC students, special need children that needs an additional services to make sure that they understand education. Oftentimes we forget about that platform. So God has given me the ability to really work with those ESC students and come up with innovative ways to help them read, help them do math, and then allow them to understand that they are our future. And I'm the trailblazer, leaving
Mm.
leaving that example for them and building up their self-worth and their self-esteem, and not allowing the world to dictate who they are because of a disability.
Oh man, I love that. I love that. So you help folks get their businesses set up, and
Yes.
you're also an educator.
Yes.
You wear a lot of hat. You wear a lot of hats.
Yeah. So let me tell you, when I went back to school, it was age 45, right? I went back to school at age 45. I left a 60 plus job career to go back to school. I was my mom's first child to graduate from college. And I
Oh
did
man.
that by age 50. So last year, I graduated with my business degree, with a concentration in organizational leadership and human resources. So I'm just using all of my experiences over the years, even in management, 25 plus years, and using that experience and that skill set to build me in reference to where God is taking me in this hour. So yeah,
Oh man.
graduated age 50, published a book by age 50, then produced a prophetic calendar, even in January, for this year, to just kind of keep everyone focused on their SMART goals.
Mm. That's you. Went to school at 45, graduated
Yeah.
at 50. Kind of
Mhm.
kind of wrote and published a book in the same birth same year. Man,
Yes.
that's a you are on a roll. You are a roll. You are just
Rolling, rolling,
rolling.
rolling.
So where so the so the so where did the desire, or should I say, I won't even say the desire, because a lot of us desire to do something, but we never, either we never truly do what we desire, or we never come or go around get around to doing it. So I won't ask this is I won't say desire, because that's, for me, saying that is kind of like a 50-50 question.
Hmm.
So I'll put it like this: when did God drop this into you to write this book?
Wow. So the Believe and Move A to Z Faith Nuggets was always in my belly, if I must say, like books, like how when you know that you should be publishing, you have, individuals come in your life like, girl, you need to write that book. You just got so much you need to put in a book. But it was in year 2020 when the Lord really dropped this book in my spirit, because that's when I lost my sister in a tragedy.
Mm,
Hmm. I lost my sister in a tragedy, and I had to learn how to believe and move. It's not just the tragedy, but it was other situations that led up to me writing the book. For instance, life after divorce, um, going through abandonment, going through rejection, feeling like an outcast, even in the midst of a family. You just seems like sometimes you just there and not really a part of. Do you understand where I'm going?
right. I do. I do.
You have a name, but you don't even feel like you are a part of the family. You understand what I'm saying? So I
Got
talk
you.
about that in the book on how to get past the rejection, how to get past forgiving someone, how to get past of victimization. I talk
Wow.
about that in the book. So the motivation came from when I went back to school, when I wanted to throw in the towel after losing my father while I was in school, losing my grandmother while I was in school, trying to finish a bachelor's degree. And, I had so many reasons to just throw in the towel, but it was just something in me that encouraged me, which was God's word, to continue to believe and move, even though it didn't feel like I had the strength to believe and move. Right. And it
Right.
goes back again to the trailblazer. That trailblazer, I'm leaving. Listen, I'm a pioneer, leaving it for my nieces and my nephews and my cousins and the now generation.
Wow. And you mentioned that, while you were in school, all these things were happening, you know, all at once. And it's kind of like, it's blow after blow after blow. And it's like,
Yes.
you're at a point that like, well, geez, I don't know if I can take another punch, because that might put me on the ground.
Yes.
Um, and then you found out of all that, you found a way to, to write about, put all these experiences and this knowledge that you gained from those experiences into a book. I mean, there had to be some moments to where there was either there was a highly emotional moment, or
Hmm.
or maybe a part of it that you were writing that was extremely daunting to write, because of the strong the strong emotions that brought about it. How did you bridge that gap?
Well, I bridged that gap by first coming in one with Z, right? Coming in one with Z, because when you're writing or when you're releasing a story, you have to first be honest with yourself. You have to first say, you know what, it was an experience. I had to first say that, you know what, I'm not going to continue to victimize others because of what I had to go through. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
So I
ma'am.
had to come in contact with Z first. And the one of the subjects in my book was dealing with forgiveness. And
Woo,
you know what? We all deal with the power of forgiveness. You
man.
understand? And I had to come to a place even when I was writing my book. In the Bible in Matthew, it says that you have to forgive 70 times 7 times 7, right? That's 490 times a day. Like, who in their mind keep up with 490 times a day to forgive people who wrong us.
Exactly. Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? What that scripture is saying is to always have a heart to forgive and to always extend grace to people.
You
So
have
who
to.
are we to hold the grudges, or who are we to keep people hostage by how they treated us?
Yeah.
So when I was writing it, yeah, I had to think about even forgiving Z, because oftentimes we don't forgive ourselves for the choices that we've made.
Wow. That's and the funny thing about that is, and you mentioned that because forgiveness for a lot of us is kind of is I won't even say kind of is the most hardest thing to do,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to forgiving others. And for some of us, forgiving others is relatively easy because it's just, you know, that person says that, can you forgive me for what you've done? And you say and it's water up under the bridge. But
Hmm.
forgiving oneself is the challenge to me, the
Hmm.
biggest challenge. Because
Yeah.
oftentimes we look at it as like the things that happened around us was our fault. And I mentioned this on an audio pod a while back that, you know, it's not your fault that certain situations happen. It's just sometimes it's just how things it's just how the cards fall sometimes. It's just how God plans it out sometimes. And also it's just
Yes.
it also can be the result of someone's ill thought of decisions.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And you know what? Even with decisions, I um, teach my students that the choice you make today is going to more or less determine your future. Either it'll be a good choice or a bad choice. I don't care. It's the same word, but you're going to determine your future by how you choose it.
Exactly.
So
That's all it boils down.
even with our personal lives, God gives us a choice. So it's up to us to choose.
That's it. A
Yeah.
choice and a chance.
Yeah, that's good right there.
A choice and a chance. A choice to make it right. A chance to correct it if it's not right.
Yes.
And I just the one and I think when I think about the when you because like I said you talk about things such as loss and divorce and
Hmm.
you know dealing with the myriad of all those emotions all at one time, and then you choose to write, then you make a choice, an active choice to write a book. You know
And it
now.
was hard. And it was hard. It was hard, Frederick. It was so hard. Um, Moments that I would just be up, at night, 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Like I'm trying to finish my last semester. And then God dropped this book and told me that you need to get this finished. My publisher, I was sending stuff to, information to her like 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, because it was like God was just doing those downloads. It's like I couldn't rest. And when there's a passion, when there's an assignment, listen, I'm like Jacob. Jacob said, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me, right?
Exactly.
I'm not going to let go until you bless me. So until we do what God has called us to do, we are always going to battle against that assignment. And I had to understand that I had to stop battling with Z. I had to understand that I was capable of doing the assignment. Nobody couldn't do the assignment but me. But oftentimes we don't do the assignment, is because of comparison or that competition, or I don't feel like I'm qualified, or I
Oh
didn't go to
man.
school and I didn't get all of the credentials, or who's going to purchase my book, who's going to listen to my story. Listen, when God gives you the unction to do it, even though it looks crazy, you do it.
Oh yeah.
And when
It
I
will.
released this book, I sold over 200 plus copies of this book. And I still believe that God is still going to open up platforms for this Believe and Move A to Z Faith Nuggets to get out there to the nations.
Oh yeah. It's a lot of people that's gonna be blessed by that. Most definitely.
Yes.
Most definitely. And I know when we talked a little bit earlier, and something just popped in my mind when we were talking about your writing process
Yes.
and also the things that you went through during your schooling, your your schooling and you're trying to trying to graduate,
Mhm.
and then also writing this book all simultaneously. Something just really popped into my mind. It's like, you know, and I talked about this a while back,
Mhm.
um, when I was doing an audio pod, and it was talking about I talked about peeling away the layers of yourself.
Mm.
Was that I already know the answer to this question because because I've done that too, and I'm not gonna. And I already know the answer to this question, but I want to ask it though, because
Mhm.
even though the answer is the same, it differs. The wording of it differs every time I ask it.
Mhm.
How difficult was that peeling away process for you?
Mm. The peeling away process was very difficult for me because I didn't want to own up to the areas that needed to be improved. So the spirit of pride, I didn't even realize I had pride, like pride. I didn't want to accept the fact that, hey, you need to do you need to do this differently. It was always Z's way or no way.
Ooh,
So when peeling back, you have to understand that there's different perspectives when it comes to different situations we face in life. And oftentimes I look at peeling back just like if you're doing a math problem, right? So oftentimes we don't always get the math problem correct the first time. There's all types of ways that you can come up with the correct answer, right? But you have to keep doing that problem over and over and over and over again until you get that problem right.
oh,
Likewise with life,
yes,
when
yes,
you're
indeed.
peeling back, I look at a banana, the banana stays there, it turns colors, it gets soft. You know what? That's our lives. Sometimes we come into situations very hard, very, very, very. We've been abused, so we don't know
Yeah.
how to deal with situations, or we don't even know how to embrace love or embrace trust. You see what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
peeling back, I had to understand that Z had to remove pride, number one. And God will cause you to fall short in order for you to understand that you can't do nothing without Him.
Mhm. Indeed, indeed. And I know my peeling away process was almost, well, I will say different. Say I compared my peeling away process to an onion.
Mm,
Same layers. Not so nice layered as not as many layers as a banana because it's only one layer. You just peel it off and there it is.
yes.
But when an onion there, sometimes there may be a lot of layers to peel away before you get to the actual onion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when I got to the actual onion, which I equate to the real me,
Mm-hmm.
or the person that God had wanted me to be all along,
Mm-hmm.
I saw this very frightened and very, hurt
Yeah.
little boy. And
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do everything that I could to shield this person from all the hurt and harm that I had inflicted upon this person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I saw myself, I saw scars, but then I see wounds, I see fresh wounds, and I'm like, what? And you think, what are you doing to yourself?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And for me, that was the craziest thing, to look at that, to peel away all those layers and to actually look at that
Mm-hmm.
person staring back
Mm-hmm.
at you, and I'm like, God, what have I done? What have I done to myself? What have I inflicted upon myself? You know,
Right. Right. And I mean,
was
even when you were talking about the onion, when you're peeling an onion, right? Listen, if you don't have some water or anything of that nature to be present while you're peeling the onion, it's you're going to basically release water, right?
yep,
So sometimes situations are painful, situations stink, but that onion does make you cry too, just like situations make you cry. And I'm learning even in life that it's okay to cry because every tear he bottles up.
yes, he
So
does.
it's okay to be vulnerable in certain situations.
It really is. It really
Mm-hmm.
is. And just,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just the title of the book itself is Believe and Move. I mean, it's those are those are powerful words in and of themselves, actually. They're
Mm-hmm.
both of them are those words are they bring people to action, you
Action.
know.
Yes. Yes. Because
For
oftentimes we say what we want to do, right? We can speak it. It says, speak those things that are not as though they were already operating in your life. And we speak and we say what we want to be. We speak and we say what we want to become, and all those good attributes, right? Action words. But until you move, you're going to always remain stagnant. You're going to always remain stuck. So that's what this book is for. This book is designed for that reader who feels stuck, who don't know where to start, who have gone through many transitions in life and don't even know how to pick up life after divorce. Like, where do I start? Who's going to listen to me? Where are the resources? So that's where the community comes in at.
mm, indeed, indeed. Now, this is the question that I wanted to ask you because I thought about this question the whole time
Yes.
before we even engage in the interview and things of that nature. And it's really just based upon just seeing, number one, seeing the title of the book, and then also reading the synopsis of it.
Mhm.
In your eyes and in your opinion, what is the cost of stagnation?
I believe the cost of stagnation, again, it goes back to choices, it goes back to the environment that we find ourselves in. We could see ourselves as being this amazing person who can, run through troops and leap over walls. But that spirit of stagnation will be present if you float in fear. If it's an uncomfortable assignment that you're not accustomed to vibing in, you will just stay here. You will say, you know what? I'm going to a 9 to 5 job every day. I'm comfortable, right? But inside of you is greater things that are in store for you. But you're going to
Indeed.
remain stagnant until you connect with the community that's going to hold you accountable to what's in you.
And you mentioned community a couple of times while we are talking,
Yes.
you know, and I'm beginning to think that the importance of that community, meaning like-minded people or people that
Yes.
will will speak into you, will speak positive affirmations into you, and that will
Yes.
just be there to be, to hold you up when sometimes you don't want to hold yourself up.
That's right. That's
And
right. And even with even when you talk about the community, even with my group, it's Women of Warfare Wins. That's the ministry. But then under that umbrella, we have a Believe and Move private group for sister to sister, and we have ladies in diverse, states, ages. It fluctuates. So you have your BAM moms, which are 55 and up, and then you have your BAM queens, which are 30 to 55. And then you have your BAM girls, which are 17 to 30. So when those individuals come into the group, then that's going to be the community that they are a part of. And then we just continue to build and we bless her up. And our foundational scriptures in Proverbs 27 and 17, where iron sharpens iron. So we have to hold each other accountable to the movement.
have to, because when people are held accountable to what they do, I think that's how we improve as human beings.
Yes.
It's when you don't hold someone accountable, they don't learn the lessons that they were supposed to learn, and they'll just continue to go through life thinking that their actions are okay.
Yes, yes. And I need someone in my life that will hold me accountable to my actions, what I say, how I say it. Sometimes what I want to say doesn't always come out, but we have to also be mindful of our demeanor.
That we do,
You see what
because
I'm saying? So again, it goes back to that accountability piece, and there's nothing wrong with the accountability. Even when you look at accountability, and on the end of accountability, it's the ability. So you have the ability to choose to be
yeah,
accountable. And
exactly.
sometimes we don't choose it because because we're running from something, or we're trying to just be in that place that's going to basically keep us stagnant, because
Right.
everything starts with the mind when it comes to stagnation as well. So how
Oh
do you see
man.
yourself? How do you see yourself in the situation?
Oh man. I'm beginning to believe. I'm beginning to really think that believe and move is not as more than just a move, not more than just a movement. I think I'm beginning to really think that this is not only a mind state, but also something that's like that needs to really be just not necessarily pushed into people, but instilled into people. I mean, it's to me, it's really now it's just a mind state because you have to believe
Yes.
in first of all in God, but also in your own innate abilities to get some
Abilities.
things done. But
Yes.
you can't just have the belief. You got to be able to move in that belief
Mm-hmm.
because again, faith without works is dead. Because if
Mm-hmm.
you're not if you're saying you're faithful but you're not proving it, then why are you doing
Mm-hmm. Mm. That's good.
it? And I look at it from that I look at it from that particular perspective. I mean, just it's you have to believe in, like I said, believe. Now, first of all, it's a belief in God,
Mm-hmm.
number one, and then it trickles down to believing in your own abilities as a human being,
Yes.
well, whatever ability that may be,
Mm-hmm.
and then okay, now I believe in God, and I also believe in my own abilities to get things accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
So just move into that. If you believe that you can build, that you can, you can fix a car, move into fixing a car. And if
That's
you
right.
believe that, yeah, if you believe you can be a great author or a great writer, move into that.
Right. Right. But again, you have to connect to a community to help you get to that level. It's okay to
Exactly.
say you don't know how to do something. Again, that's where the pride came in for Z. It was hard for me to say, "Hey, I just don't know how to do it." Because we always want to put up this facade like everything is hunky dorky. Even when I went back to school at age 45, taking accounting was very challenging for me. And I had to literally reach out to Lori. And I says, Lori, is there any way you can coach me through this process? That was a humbling season for me, because she had to see my inabilities of what I could not do. And that's what we try to do. We try to be like the onion, keep everything covered up,
Yep.
right? We keep everything covered up like everything is smooth. But
And it's not that.
until you peel that onion back, there are some rough areas in our lives that we need support in. And it's okay to say I don't know how to do something.
And the funny part about it is a lot of us, and I'm gonna throw myself in that particular in that
Yes.
a lot of us.
Uh-huh.
A lot of us don't don't ask for it, don't ask for that. Because we feel like if we do ask for it, then it's like, well, if I'm asking for help, that means I'm dumb. I don't know this. No, it's not
Right.
because you don't know it. It's because you weren't introduced to that concept.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me to say something of say the word dumb is to me very very demeaning because
Yes,
none of us were born dumb.
that's right.
It's just right. It's just I look at it as just you haven't been taught that concept, so you don't understand that concept.
Uh-huh.
So, but people look at it like, well, that's I've been told that that's a dangerous way to look at it. I'm like, well, that's not dangerous. It's just true. If you
Mm-hmm,
haven't been
mm-hmm.
introduced to something, then you're not dumb. It's just you haven't been introduced to it.
And that's a good way to look at that. That is definitely a good way to look at it. Have you ever been in conversations with people, and individuals say, "Oh, you just think you know so much," and
Exactly.
it's not saying that I know so much. It's just I choose not to be stagnant and in that place. I will never forget where I come from because that's my foundation. But I have a choice to better my life. I have a choice to change that trajectory. So in order to change that trajectory in my life, I have to again connect with people who's going where I'm going.
Indeed, because if they're not going where you're going, then the journey is like The journey's not. I won't say you're still gonna travel by yourself in some instances
Yes.
along that journey. But if you come with like-minded people that are traveling the same road that you're traveling on, or maybe on the same trajectory that you're on, it makes
Yes.
things so much better. And I thought, and again, I'm thinking about the believe and
Uh-huh.
move
Hmm.
book and movement. Now, as a tutor and as an educator, do you apply those same concepts with your students?
Yes, yes. Especially when I have a student that says just what you're saying, what you just said, I'm dumb, and that's because you have people that, you know, speak that into the minds of those children. So when you're tutoring or when you're mentoring or whatever assignment it is to put people in a better place, if that's all they hear all the time and you coming in as that positive reinforcer, they will literally shut down, right? So you have to find a way to build that trust with
Mm,
that individual in order for them to just be themselves. So I use this manual as ammunition to let them know that, hey, if Miss Z can do it, you can do it. So I do research and I find ways to help these children understand their education.
it's all
I
about
make it
putting.
very innovative. I make it fun. Life skills, I make it fun. I do the schooling, and then at the end, I do critical thinking activities that will cause them to think about their actions.
Exactly. And also, I like how you do that because now it puts them on an equal playing field.
Yes, yes.
And sometimes,
And you
and so
never say you can't do something. It's always it's more or less like, okay, how would you handle this situation? Miss Z was in this situation, da 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 da. But how would you handle that situation? So you then put them out there. It's like an open-ended question, and you're allowing them to make the decision on the question that you just
right,
asked them without answering the question for them.
exactly. And it really just goes and it goes back to the equal playing field thing because I think at
Yes.
the end of the day, I think that's all. I think that's where I think that's the end. I won't say from. Well, I know for me in certain
Uh-huh.
aspects of my life, I just want to be put on an equal playing field with people.
Yes.
And I think that's the. And I think for most of us, that's the end goal. We just want to be on equal playing field, even though we know the
Yes.
field ain't gonna be equal. And there's always gonna be somebody that's gonna be either smarter, bigger, stronger, faster,
Hmm.
whatever. As long as the playing field, as long as the playing field is, as long as the field is equal and not skewed in any way, you know, there's some way my skills and whatever I have I can use
Hmm.
will help me traverse that field and get to the next place I need to go.
Yes. Yes. That's true.
Because I mean, even if it, and I know for me, even if the field isn't equal, there's there for me there are way there, and I think for everybody else there should be ways to circumvent that
Hmm. Hmm.
because an unequal playing field for me is like it's not always for me being in an unequal playing field still works to my advantage because there are things that I can do to circumvent certain situations to put them
Hmm.
in my favor. But for a lot of people, such as the special needs kids that you teach, that's not always those skills are not always prevalent. And if they are, they're not cultivated enough for them to be able to circumvent those things and get to the destination that they need to get to.
And I believe it's because we don't have the patience to deal with those students and just in general, people in general. I feel also too that we give up on people too early. you know what if someone gave up on me when I was growing up, you know becoming like, from elementary to middle school to high school to marriage to college? What if someone gave up on me?
Yeah,
So we have to look at every person we come in contact with, either be a student, a person in the marketplace. We have to look at every person as an angel unaware in this season,
that's
because it
it.
could be an angel that God is sending our way to send a message for our future. And we don't always understand the whys. but your heart is telling you you need to do that.
Exactly, exactly. And I love the approach that you take to it, because there aren't many people that take that particular type of approach when it
Hmm.
comes to not only dealing with life in general, but also dealing with the the population of students and
Yes.
individuals that you deal with, that you I won't say deal with, that you interact with on a daily basis.
Hmm.
It's a lot of people don't look at it in that aspect. And
Hmm.
I love the way you put it, because it's to me, it's the most refreshing aspect that I've heard in quite some time, because
Yes.
patience is, to me, the two greatest virtues that I think God created was patience and love. And in this day and age, a lot of us lack either one, the other, or both.
Or both.
And for those that lack both, that's not a good from in my opinion, that's not a good place to be.
Right. And that's why, you have the suicidal rate up. That's why, you have jealousy. That's why you have envious. That's why you have competition. That's why you have all of that out there. It's because of the patience and the love. We don't have the patience to endure the process while God is developing us to be who he's called us into. We look at our life and we look at someone else's life and we say, well, why can't I be where that person is? But we don't understand their journey. We don't understand
Exactly.
what it took for them to be on that platform. So we have to
Exactly.
really be mindful of what we say we want to be or become. If we're not
Exactly.
willing to sacrifice or go through the fire, we have to really be mindful
Oh
of
yeah.
who we say we want to be like, and that's another thing. Why do we want to be like somebody else? Why not be the original?
Yep. It's too many people aspire to be other people. And
Yeah.
that's just I will say that's not cool in my book. It's okay to admire someone. That's cool.
Yes.
But
Yes.
never aspire to be somebody else, because you don't know or understand what they had to do to get to where they are.
Yes. Yes.
What would you, I mean, and the one this is a concept that I thought about.
Hmm.
What would you do? What you want to be this person?
Hmm.
Would you be able to take in all the things that they had to go through to get to where they are? Would you be able to take in all the hurt, all the pain, all the sacrifices, all the sleepless nights, the lonely nights, the all the other things that they go through? Would you be able to take in all of that? No, you wouldn't. Not even a fraction of it.
Okay. Wow. And I think also too, Frederick, I think it's very important too, even with relationships. So we just get to know each other, not just know a name, but get to know the person you're connected to, right?
Exactly.
Because being connected to that person will reveal to you their journey. And usually when God makes a connection with a person, you can always tell when it's ordained, because this person can be weak in this area and I could be strong in this area. So, you know what? My weakness will make this situation strong and vice versa, right?
Most definitely.
So, we have
Most
to
definitely.
understand how it is so important that we value one another. We value those relationships. We don't just throw those relationships away,
No,
you
because
know?
no, you can't, because the most valuable relationships are the ones that you keep close to you.
Yes. Yes. And it's going to be disagreements,
Of course.
even in relationships, I don't know why we shifted here, but even in relationships, I wouldn't want anyone to just always say, "Yes, girl, you're doing a good job. Yes, girl, you're doing a good job." I want somebody to tell me when I'm not doing a good job. How am I going to help
Exactly.
you improve?
Exactly. Or and says, but also say that in a constructive manner.
Yes, that part, that part, that part.
Like, hey, Z, I saw you do this. I mean, I saw you make a couple of mistakes, but here, let me show you how to do this, or let me show you how I
Yes.
did it, to where that way you can avoid those mistakes.
Mhm. And you know what? I can appreciate that right there. I can appreciate that.
Oh yeah. I think it's important to that we have constructive criticism. But a lot of us look at that as just like, you know, That's like some like us being put on a whipping post, and all of a sudden,
Uh-huh.
it's I'm just telling you what you did wrong. I'm
Mhm.
not.
Mhm.
I ain't chastising you,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
people we look at, and you're right, and we look at correction as chastisement,
Mhm.
and a lot of us, me included, we don't want to be corrected
Mhm. But even the
because
word says that the Lord chastises those he love. So when you
exactly,
love someone, you're going to always be true to that person,
yeah.
you
But the
know?
funny part about it is we chafe against correction. We don't want to be
Mm.
corrected
That's good.
because we want to be right because we want to be right all the time.
That's
We want
good.
to be correct all the time. You can't be right all the time. That's
Mhm.
just not just not what it is.
Right.
And well, I'm right. This is my word. Oh. And when someone does that, I'll be like, okay, I pull myself away
Ah.
because it is because at that point the relationship isn't beneficial at that point.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, hey, you do you. I'm over here in the corner. If you want to holler, I'm available.
Wow. Yeah. And I, you know what, as you get older, you'll see that, some situations don't even warrant your response. You just look at it and you're like, okay,
Like,
you know,
all right,
you don't,
whatever.
you don't extend your energy in places, especially in places that don't even welcome your space.
Exactly. But and it's funny you mentioned that because the like these last couple of years have been really out and have been really harrowing for a lot of people.
Uh-huh.
You know, when you start from 2020 up to the current up to where we are currently, it's been very harrowing for a lot of people.
Hmm.
And it's there's loss on top of loss on top of
Oh
loss
yeah.
on top of loss, and then you have so many other things that are tacked on top of that. You
Hmm.
know, I think like with the advent of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, and also
Yes.
Breonna Taylor and though and the like and things of
Yes.
that nature, really kind of just put a lot of ugly things to the forefront. Not to mention what happened on January 6th of last year, and then on top of
Yes.
that, we're living in an ongoing pandemic, which
Yes.
is slowly but surely not gaining so much traction.
Hmm.
But and it's so the last couple of years have been really hard on a lot of people, and I believe like this book that you have that's out right now,
Hmm.
um, in addition to so many other people um, who I've come into contact with, and more likely who you come into contact with, like Miss
Hmm.
Lori, and it's so many other people that like her and
Yes.
like yourself
Yes.
that have a positive message for
Hmm.
for hope and restoration
Oh
and
yeah.
healing. Um,
Hmm.
Another young brother that I interviewed a couple of weeks ago, he's a praise and worship singer. He had a song that spoke to me in so many ways. It was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, you know what? Yeah, we good, right? We good. We not this interview is over. We good.
Uh-huh.
So people like you and Lori and so many other people that we both know, either whether it's
Yes.
mutually or whether it's within our own personal circles, you know,
Hmm.
you guys, it's important that your messages are broadcast loud and clear,
Wow.
so that those people that need to have those
Hmm.
messages or that need to receive that message
Hmm.
gets it, and they're able to download it, and they're able to let it sit and permeate within their heart and within their soul, and in the recesses of their inner being, and
Hmm.
they believe in God and believe in their own abilities, and then also do the other part of that, which is move.
Move,
So
move, move. I don't care how it looks. You have to continue to move. Listen, this quarter, and if it's okay, I'm going to kind of emphasize on this quarter. It's funny that you invited me to come in during the second quarter, the beginning of the second quarter. And in my group, we've been dealing with the ambush. Okay. The Lord gave me second quarter would be the quarter that we ambush the enemy. Okay. And so when he gave me the word ambush, the A in ambush deals with anxiety and addictions. right? It's not saying that we don't want to be free. It's saying, you know what, Lord, I know I can't do this without you, right? When we can understand that we can do this with Him and that all things are possible to those who believe, we can run through troops and not be intimidated by the enemy.
Exactly.
Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
So even when in the chapter that he gave me was in Second Chronicles 21 through 20, and it talks about how Jehoshaphat was afraid of the troops. He didn't feel like he was capable of fighting the troops or the armies. And the Lord told him, He says, don't be afraid of their faces. He says, I need you to stand up in your position, be bold,
That's it.
and you
That's
can
it.
fight this battle, but you can't do it. He says He's the one that's able to fight the battle. You don't do anything.
Nope.
And what Jehoshaphat did in that same chapter, Frederick, was he bowed down and he worshiped God. So instead of him worrying about the situation, right, he bowed down and he worshiped God. Can you imagine when we don't have to deal with the addictions of this world or our personal addictions, the anxiety, what's going on around us? Do you realize that even with the M, it represents mental stability?
Man.
And when you can have the anxiety and the addictions and the mental stabilities under control, we can unlock the blessings.
Yes, indeed.
You,
Yes,
you see where
indeed.
I'm going with this?
Oh yeah, I do. Most definitely.
So we have to understand what we have. Like you said, the accountability is so important. We have to understand that we have the ability to do anything we put our minds to. But everything has to start with movement. How do I get from point A to point B? First, you have to come into yourself and you have to tell yourself, Z, I need help in this area.
Yep.
How am I going to get the support that I need?
Yep. Indeed. And even with
Mm.
that, I tell folks that look, it doesn't matter what direction you move in, just move.
Just
You know,
move.
but I always say, but I always add, if you're gonna move in a direction, make sure it's always a forward direction.
Oh, that's good. Forward direction. That's
Yeah,
good.
you don't want to move backwards because that's taking you right back to where that's taking you right back to the mess that you left.
Mm-hmm.
I tell anybody that I talk to, that I come in contact with, or even somebody that I'm, you know, maybe mentoring or maybe coaching or something like that. And I don't do that often. Like I don't do stuff like that often. It's just every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always have a look. If you're gonna move in a forward direction,
Yes, it's
because if
good.
you moving backwards does you no good,
Wow.
because
Wow.
it puts
And
you
you know,
right back.
even when and I see Frederick, you opening up some things in this book here. See, listen, when you talk about moving forward, the W in my A to Z faith nuggets is winning. WIN, the acronym for winning, like that WIN is winning is necessary. Right. So I give an analogy even in this chapter on that letter of how when I was in school, I was a ball player. I was a point guard. Yes, I controlled
Uh-oh.
the game.
Watch out,
Yes,
watch
I control the game.
out.
So
The person that called
listen,
the shots.
if I was in grade school and I was a ball player and I was able to control the game, do you not think that God has given me the same ability to have strategies to control my personal and spiritual game here on earth? Right? So in the book, I talk about how you have to have the right people on your team because even in the game of basketball, you have the point guard, you have the shooting guard, you have the forward, and you have the center. See, as a guard, you're not always the person who's shooting the ball. You need
Right.
everyone else to help you assist in winning. So
Gotta
therefore, you're
facilitate.
going to have the trust with your team to transfer the ball until you shoot. So
There
there's
you
going to
go.
be moments that you're not even going to be able to shoot as a point guard. You may be the one up there just strategizing the game and just passing the ball.
That's it. But
So
the
we
funny, but
need people on our teams. We need people on our teams, Frederick, to assist
man,
us in life.
and you bring up this point, and but a lot of us don't want to be facilitators.
Ooh,
A lot of us, I'm gonna use it.
that's
I'm gonna
good.
use this analogy, and you're more likely to agree with me. A lot of us want to be more like what Russell Westbrook than we want to be Rajon Rondo.
Ooh, stop it, Frederick.
Look, but it's, I mean, it's not a knock on any one of them, but and my favorite player was Rajon Rondo.
Uh huh.
Period.
Uh huh.
Not because of his ability to score anything, but his ability to facilitate, get
Mm,
other people involved. Make the necessary pass. Score, but also be able to score when you need to score,
when you need
not when you want to score.
that part, when you need to. So when the ball is given to you and you have the ability to shoot, why don't you shoot?
Exactly. So, and that's why I said,
Likewise, Frederick, even in life, when the opportunities come to us and we have the ability to resolve the problem, why don't we resolve the problem?
exactly. And like I said, that's why that's why a lot of us don't want to be facilitators or
That's
negotiators, or
good.
those people that are just gonna just be like, okay, let me just stand right here and just sort this out instead of letting it just spiral downhill.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why I would rather be Rajon Rondo than Russell Westbrook, because I don't want to be a ball dominant person. I want to be able
Mm-hmm.
to give spread the love.
Spread the
I'm not looking for
love.
a triple double. I'm just looking to be a productive person on my team.
Productive.
Now,
But see, we can move, Frederick, but
right,
not be productive. Because see, that was
exactly.
me. When I went through divorce, I was moving, I was always in things. You know why? Because I was trying to avoid the pain. So I was moving and I thought it was positive. But while I was moving, I wasn't healing. I'm just spreading cancer.
Oh, man, tell me about that one. Tell me about that one.
You
That
see?
is that's my own personal journey with that. I mean, I've been divorced since October of last year,
Wow.
and that is my personal journey. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, you can move, but not necessarily heal.
Ooh.
You can
Mm-hmm.
move, but not
But
necessarily
not
make yourself may be whole.
mm,
And I think doing all that is stagnation. Is the stagnation as well.
that's right. That's right. Because nothing is being produced while you're moving. All you're doing is moving. And while you're moving, you're depleting your energy because it's like you listen, when you're like that, I was there. When you're in a place like that, it seems like you're resting for 8 hours, but you get up tired. You ever have those moments?
Yes. Get up like, why am I still tired?
Right. Because you're just moving without purpose, showing up for people that don't ever show up for you, right?
Yep. And it's taken me a while, but I've just had to learn to just slow myself down,
Yes. Yes.
slow my processes down.
That's good. And I think the pandemic actually helped us realize that we really didn't need a lot of things. It helped us realize what relationships were valuable and what relationships were
Exactly.
not valuable for us.
Exactly. And even in the midst of all the loss and all that else, I mean, there were some great things that happened
Yeah.
in the midst of that. I mean, a lot of our people, open up businesses,
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
small businesses,
Hmm.
entrepreneurship, things of that nature.
Yep.
So much of a big thing that come out of that, out of all that, and I look at that as the phoenix that rose from the
Yes.
ashes of all that, because
Hmm.
and that's the perspective I look at a whole lot of things now.
Hmm.
All right, so this is gonna burn down, but there's a phoenix is gonna rise from this. and it's gonna
Mm.
be much stronger, much more powerful than the last experience. So that's
Yes.
my perspective that I look at everything now. Even
Hmm.
with the loss of a child, it's like, yeah,
Wow.
I'm still hurting, but
Uh-huh.
I got this 6-year-old granddaughter that's this lovely, this loving, vivacious,
Wow.
precocious and intelligent and curious little 6-year-old
Mm.
that's always asking questions. Grandpa, grandpa, grandpa. Okay, she's my phoenix.
Mm.
And I have to, and that's
Wow.
how I look at her. She's that blessing that came out of a hurtful and crazy and tragic thing. And I'm like, yeah,
Mm.
this is where my focus is gonna be from this point forward. You know,
Mm.
being eh, being a grandfather is one of the kind of for me is one of the more eye opening and probably one of the best things that I think that would have ever came out of anything, because
Mm.
that's the one thing that kind of it humanized me.
Wow, wow. And I remember you briefly talking about your story at Lori's Victory Over Violence. And man, it was very moving. Like, I mean, and you know what? And it's a ministry, it's a message through all of that mess, you
It
know.
is.
It is. And you know what? And it's because, I feel that the Lord is going to even use your life to rescue other men, because oftentimes, even with men, I have 5 brothers, you know, and oftentimes they internalize a lot, right? And so when they internalize a lot, it then builds up to anger. And when it builds up to anger, they don't know how to communicate or even receive love when it's presented.
Exactly, exactly. That's the reason why I say this book, your book, and so many other your book primarily, but also so many other people that, like I said, that we know collectively and also individually. You know,
Yes.
this book, it's not. I believe, and just like I said, when I read the synopsis, I said, okay, this ain't gonna be just for This ain't gonna be just for females. It's gonna be for males too. It's just
Yes. Prophesy, Frederick.
this gonna be for males too. It's just the
Oh, yes.
it's all about the interpretation of what's being read.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, this is gonna be
Wow.
important in this particular dispensation.
Hmm.
I truly believe that,
I
because
really appreciate it.
when people write stuff that's profound and moving and stuff like that, just from reading the synopsis, I go, yeah, I'm good. I'm already emotionally invested. I'm already mentally invested.
Hmm. Wow.
And a lot of people will read books and they'll say, well, that's just female centered.
Hmm.
No, no,
Hmm.
bro, no, bro, no, bro.
Hmm.
Read a little deeper.
Yes.
Matter of fact, look beyond the surface of the words that's being spoke. Look
Hmm.
at the look at the spirit of where they're coming from.
Mm.
Because a lot of people read books like yours, or they may read a book like mine, which is fiction, and they'll think that those two don't that will never interact. Yes, they will. Yes, they do.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Because Z's book is based on her personal experiences,
Hmm.
and and for her that's her truth. My
Hmm.
book, although it was fiction, is still based upon my own personal experiences, which is still my truth.
Truth. Right.
And a
That's
lot of people
good.
are when people look at this, and when people look at the truth of what they are,
Hmm.
I think it scares a lot. I think it scares a lot of people.
Yeah. Because even in the book, I want it to be a simple read. So even when you read the book, it's A to Z faith nuggets to provoke growth and change. So when you read each letter, it's going to provoke growth and it's going to provoke change, right? And then on the next page, it's actually a uh, page available right here on the right side. I don't know if you can see it
I can
right
see
here
it.
on the side. So this right here gives the viewers the opportunity to reflect. And then it's like, what are the challenges that you face in this area of loving, right? So now you have the opportunity to just reflect and write. And then what action steps are you going to take? I am bam in this area. I mean, I am a believe and move. I am believing and moving in this area. How am I going to do that? You got to put action to it. You have to be specific. It has to be measurable. It has to be attainable, reasonable in time frames. I feel
Mm.
everything we do in our lives should be based on SMART goals, even in conversations that are difficult to deal with. Why not take out time and plan how you're going to address this situation?
Ooh, break. Ooh. Smart goals. Ooh, break that down. Break that down. Break that down.
Yes. So, okay, so I'm dealing with a situation. Okay, what are my specifics? What is the situation? What's the target? Right?
Got it.
Now, you have the A. How is it attainable? I mean, what research, what evidence do you have before you even approach the situation?
Wow.
Is it reasonable? Because sometimes we try to do things overnight when sometimes it takes a process, just like peeling an onion.
Ooh.
You see what I'm saying? And you can use the T as time frames. Like, okay, if this is an area that I'm dealing with, I'm giving myself 90 days, or I'm giving myself 30 days, or I'm giving myself 60 days. Okay, now how am I going to get there? What resources am I going to use? How
Mm.
can you use all of this research as a teachable moment for you to believe and move into a better place?
Ooh. Fun. But then it comes to that human nature part of who we are.
Yeah.
We when someone says process, immediately everybody starts cringing because they don't want because we don't want to go through. We don't want to go
We
through
don't
it.
want to go through anything. But you know what? We won't go through anything, but we're quick to tell somebody else what they need to do to change.
Oh yeah, off the top, off the top. You can't tell you and I. You can't tell me about doing something unless you've experienced it yourself.
That part.
You can't tell me about a process unless you've been through the process. And every process is
Mhm.
different for every person.
For every
So
person.
it's not as it's not cookie cutter. It's not okay. It's not a one size fit all type thing. It's not this one mold that you can apply
Hmm.
to every situation. No. And a
Yes.
lot of people are like, I don't want to go through look. Either you go through that process and come out of a better person, or you stay where
Hmm.
you are and you don't learn anything, and then you're still making the same mistakes. What do you think the process is for?
Hmm.
It's not meant to put you down or make you feel like you're less than. And no, this is building up. This is, you know, now we're talking about building you up and keeping you built up. Making sure that house that's being making sure that how that foundation that this house is being built on is not built on sand, but built on solid ground.
All right now. All right now. And then we have to realize too, Frederick, that when we go through those situations, sir, we have to understand that it builds our character. All right. It
Yeah.
shows us who we are when we deal with catastrophic experiences. It also tells us what level we are in the area of our integrity.
Yes, indeed.
So, failures and bad situations are not always bad as long as you're able to learn from the mistake. Because even in the word, it says the just man, meaning the righteous ones, are going to fall 7 times. But the power of that man is when that individual gets back up and do it again.
Fall down 7 times, stand up 8.
You see what I'm saying?
That's it. And the one thing I've learned is that, it's okay, so you fail. That's not an instant game over.
Yes.
And a lot of people say, "Well, I can't do it." No, that's not an instant game over.
Hmm.
Dude, if there's a continue, press the continue button and get back at it.
Wow.
Certain aspects of my life personally, I relate to video games because I'm a gamer, and so fail to me, that's how I relate to it.
Yeah.
Failure is not an instant game over.
Mm.
It doesn't have to be if you don't want it to be. If a person doesn't want it to be, If they want to get back up and do it, they can get up and do it. You
Mm-hmm.
you can fail as many times as you want.
Wow.
It's gonna be that one time
That's good.
that's gonna be that one time that you're gonna succeed, and it's gonna blow your mind. It's gonna change your life.
That's good.
Failures. I tell people, for me, failure is never an option for me. Even
Mm-hmm.
though I experience it all the time.
Yes.
Failure is the inability of the to me it's not like it doesn't mean that you don't know what you're doing or anything like that. Failure is the inability to, I won't say succeed, but to do something in a specific way or fashion.
Mm.
Because if you're doing it
Wow. Look.
your way, then yeah, you're if you're doing it your way and not God's way, then yeah, you're that's pretty much what's gonna happen every time.
Hmm.
So why
I
don't you
mean, look
just
at Walt Disney. Look at Walt Disney and look at how many times he tried to get the loan for the parks here, right?
Yep.
What if he believed the news reporters and how they put all of the publicity out on him about him running out of ideas? He's not a businessman, just really moved by the echoes of what people say he was. But he used that negativity to create his space here on earth.
Yep.
So, what if he looked at every failure, every disappointment, every rejection and stopped? I don't think we would have people coming into Orlando to Walt Disney.
Indeed. 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 And negativity shouldn't be used as, I don't know. I use negativity as a positive fuel,
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, I mean, someone's gonna talk bad about you. They're gonna talk bad about you. That's just the nature of human being. That's just the nature of who we are as human beings.
Yes.
So why bother? Why bother with dwelling on it? Just that's let that be the fuel for your car, for your engine, the fuel for your
That's good.
personal engine to keep moving.
That's good.
Like, and just like you said, with Walt, even with like Walt Disney, if he didn't move, if he didn't believe and move, we wouldn't be we as we here in the future. His grand vision was way back whenever, but his vision, but I believe his vision was a far spanning vision for
Yes.
generations to come. If
For
he didn't
generations
believe
to
in moving
come.
that,
Mm-hmm.
the generations that are here now wouldn't enjoy the process and the sacrifice
Oh,
and
yeah.
the fruits of that labor.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you said, nobody would be going to Orlando every weekend or every spring break or every summer
Okay.
break or whatnot.
Okay.
So negativity is for me is positive fuel. That's what. Oh, you said, and for me, if someone tells me I can't do it,
It
oh,
motivates me to do it. Yep.
I'm gonna say, oh, you think I can't do? I'm gonna give you 101 reasons why I can't.
101 reasons. I like that.
But you can't do it. Watch me.
Watch me.
My favorite phrase now when someone says I can't do it, watch me.
Okay, that's a good hashtag. Watch me.
Oh, that's impossible. Is it?
Watch me.
Is it? Okay. Come back to me in a month and I'm gonna show you.
That's good.
And it's and it goes right back to the belief and the movement, and
Hmm.
because to me, having belief isn't. Some people, I don't know. I don't think this way, but I know there may be some people that may walk along this particular train of thought or this tact.
Hmm.
To me, belief isn't arrogance. Though some people will believe, no, I'm not arrogant. I'm very confident. There's a difference between the
Confident.
two.
Yes.
Belief is confidence. It's extreme confidence in knowing that the minute you put your hands to something, or you set your eyes to something, or you think of something, it's gonna manifest.
That's good.
And people are like, well, that's arrogance. Okay, so and I told this one person, okay, so do me a favor. Look in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, look up the definition of confidence, Look up the definition of arrogance. Are they synonymous? No. Then why would you put confidence and arrogance in the same sentence? I'm confident. I'm not arrogant because a confident person will is able to operate within their own abilities,
Abilities.
and they know where their shortcomings are, and they know, okay, let me ask for help when they need to ask for help. An arrogant person, on the other hand, they ain't raising their hand for nothing. They're not asking for help. They think that they can do it because they feel that their abilities will be able to get them to where they are. And to me, there's a difference between belief in your abilities and
That's
having there's
good.
a difference between having arrogance in your abilities and having confidence in your abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Confidence will get you way further
Way further.
than arrogance, because you might
Oh yeah.
because with a confident person, they'll go beyond the front door.
Mm-hmm.
With an arrogant person, they may not even get to the front door.
Okay. And they'll do anything and everything, to get to where they need to be in life, even if it comes to destroying relationships.
Exactly. A confident person cultivates and
Cultivates.
repairs
Leads.
and try to keep as many relationships as they can.
Yes.
A,
Yeah.
a confident person to me is a cultivator. An arrogant person is a
Yes.
instigator,
Yeah.
destroyer. And I and I
Manipulator. Manipulator.
and I personally don't deal. I personally don't try. I personally try not to deal with those type of people.
Yeah, I agree.
And I would rather be around like-minded people, such as, again, and I mentioned you and Lori. I mentioned you guys in several sentences because it's that's how I look at it. That's how I being around people who having divine connection. I've known Lori since Jesus 2020, and we've been rocking with each other for a while. Whether it's she invited me to one of her conferences, and I was blown away with it, and and me being the reciprocal person that I am, I invited her to my platform. Let's talk
Hmm.
about this even further,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that's led to a repeat appearance here, and then
Hmm.
also a repeat appearance for me. So
Yes.
when people like it's individuals like yourself, Miss Z, and
Wow.
Lori and Derek, and the people that like I said, we know collectively and individually, these are the people that will bring about this movement that you have, and
Hmm.
it's gonna blow up, man. It's
Yes.
gonna blow up because a lot of people need this is revelatory. This is relevant for this
Hmm.
time and this dispensation.
Hmm.
A lot of people need to hear this. They have a lot of people still don't. A lot of people are still hurting. A lot of people are still going through or still reeling from losses and still reeling from
Hmm.
maybe loss of a loved one, maybe the loss of a job, or maybe the loss of something
Yes.
else.
Yes.
You know, people are still reeling from that. People are still hurting. We're still in a pandemic, or we're even though we're look like we're getting closer and closer to coming out of it, but we're still here
Hmm.
2 years later.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, and I
so
talk
it's
about that even in the book, Frederick. Like when you find yourselves in the difficult situations that stagnate your movement, it's so important that we're mindful of how we treat people, because we never know when we need those people again in our lives. You know, we just never
man,
know. So we have to realize that how we treat people is a seed that will create a harvest for your future. Either it be good or either it be bad.
man,
Again, it goes back to choice.
it
So
really
I
does.
treat people the way I want to be treated. And oftentimes I don't get it back the way I treat them. But the word even tells us to love those who despitefully use us, right? He says, pray for those,
Yes,
you
indeed,
know? So you have to do those things. Again, you have to have patience in that area to be able to love people who does
indeed,
you wrong.
indeed, and like I
You
said,
and
this
you know they doing you wrong. You sense they're doing you wrong. And God is saying, still love them in spite of.
exactly. And then we are with ourselves. I gotta love this person even though they hurt me.
Yep.
Yeah, you do.
Yep. Yep.
Even though he abused me at the time. Yeah, you do.
Yep. Yep.
Even though this person killed my child. Yeah, you do.
Yep. And that doesn't mean I allow you back in my space. I'm just letting you know that I forgive you and I move
Yep.
on.
Yep. Exactly.
You know.
And for me, forgiveness is like, okay, just for me, it's like it really just deads the issue,
Uh huh.
and it should allow us to put space between us and the issue
Mm.
and the person who caused the issue. But at the
Mm.
same, but also I look at it from the converse of the opposite of that. God never
Mm.
wants us to have ill will or ill thoughts towards
Mm.
towards each other as human
That's
beings.
good. Mm-hmm.
So even though I can forgive you, you're gonna have to give me a little space because it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
take a minute for me to kind of come around and being around you on a daily basis. So
Mm-hmm. And you
if I
know
don't,
what?
if
And you
I,
know what, Frederick, when you look at that word forgive while you're talking, it's just really amazing how, the Lord simplifies things. I mean, even when you look at the word forgive, FOR, okay, GIVE, in the middle, when you break those syllables up, it's GIVE, right? So that means you have to give of yourself over and
and
over
over,
and over and over again, right? Just like Jesus did for us, he gave his life for us, right? Over and over and over again, even through the ridicule, even through the bruises, even through the stripes, he did all of that for us. So in return, we have to do that to one another or for one another.
yep,
Isn't
oh
it
yeah,
something?
it is, and the greatest absolution is the absolution of self.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you forgive yourself from whatever you've done to yourself, forgiving
Yep.
other folks is easy
Yep. It really is. It really is.
because you're forgiving the person who's done the most grievous harm to you, and that's you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's good.
But no, this person hurt me worse. I can think of a person who's hurt you worse.
Mm-hmm.
Who? You?
Yep. That's true.
How you figure that? Your choices, your thought processes, how you approach things. You don't think you've
Mm-hmm.
hurt yourself in those areas?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I never looked at it that way. Of course not, because you're not looking at it from the bigger picture, the
Mm-hmm.
grander perspective. It ain't, it's not about. It is about how you feel, but not at this moment.
Wow.
It's about how you approach this situation right now.
Mm-hmm.
This person's asking you for your forgiveness, and when refuse, you refuse to give this person the one thing that they're asking you for. They're asking you to absolve them of what they did, or at least forgive them. Now you're not.
Mm-hmm.
They're not looking for absolution of what they've done, because at the end of the day, that's for God to decide. But they're
Yes.
asking you to forgive them for what they did, for what they did to you, and you
Mm-hmm.
refuse.
Refuse. Like, who are we to refuse, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
if I hurt somebody, if somebody hurt me and they ask me for forgiveness right now, it's that's an easy choice.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be the easy. That's gonna be the easiest business decision I will ever make.
Mm-hmm.
Can you forgive me for what I've done to you? Of course. I'm not gonna refuse that because I'm feeling some kind of way, or like I'm just still angry. Of course, I'm still gonna forgive you. That doesn't take away my anger. That doesn't take away my pain. It doesn't take away my hurt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it does give me comfort, some sense of comfort, some sense of a small sense of peace.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of us, again, me included,
Mm-hmm.
we want that. We're looking for that small bit of peace,
Oh yeah.
that
Oh yeah.
one little bitty small bit of you know, that one chance that we could just hide away or get away from it all, at least for a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the belief, I think a lot of what I believe a lot of what you're speaking in your book is also talks a lot about that. A lot of people searching for not only the belief to do what they do and move into it, but it also I think I really do believe that it's going to also talk about them moving into a much better, peaceful version of who they are.
Yes. And you know what? That peaceful version is saying no. When we can learn to tell people no, which is a complete sentence.
My favorite word,
Mine too. But I had to get to that level though. It didn't happen overnight.
of course.
I had to graduate to that level of no.
There's levels to it.
It
There are
sure
levels
is.
to it,
It sure is.
and man, just to be that better person, that peaceful person, is just like I can personally say that because that's my journey right now to be a
Yes.
better person,
Uh-huh.
and I know that that journey is a very taxing and a very hurtful one because
Yes.
every day you're just examining and re-examining yourself, and you're
Mm-hmm.
putting yourself up under that microscope, and you're
Yep.
always looking to try to find some way that you can improve on one area,
Mm-hmm.
and then again you're also in the process of, you know, peeling away layers that
Mm-hmm.
layers that's been on you forever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, for me, that's been like the most emotionally harrowing process ever.
Mm-hmm.
But just to hear, just to hear a lot of the things of your positive affirmation earlier in the podcast, and a lot of the things that you've spoken of and to tonight, it's like I think anybody can grab that and grab hold of that and just
Thank you, Lord.
and run with it, and
Mm-hmm.
take it in a direction to where they're able to get to the point in their life to where they can come to that peaceful moment and be like, I'm finally at a place where I can just breathe and
Yeah.
exhale and be like, and not worry about the pressures of the world and not worry about the
Yep.
pressures around
Yep.
me.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I'm telling
I
you,
think,
it's all a faith. It's all a faith walk. And you know what? When you can just put all your trust in God, you know what? He's going to take care of us. It goes back to even Malachi. We all fall short,
of
but when we
course.
continue to give our tithe and we could and continue to give our offerings, in that chapter it says that he will rebuke the devourer off of our lives. He will open up windows of heaven and pour out those blessings upon us that we don't even have room enough to receive.
Ooh-wee.
Do you
And I
see
want to
that?
receive all that.
You see? So the devourer could be anything that's preventing you from moving forward.
Indeed. Indeed.
Hmm.
Man, I'm telling you.
But when you
It's
know you're a trailblazer, hey, that part.
and trailblazers are the vanguards.
Mm-mm.
they're the scouts. They're the ones that go up ahead of everybody else.
Yes, the risk takers.
Yep. The path setters.
Yes, that's good.
When you know you're a trailblazer, you know that you always go with you're going with you always go with God anyway. And but you know that is that whatever you set your feet upon, that's where someone else is going to follow.
What you say? All right, Pioneer. All
Just
right, I'm
just call
just
just
saying.
just call me first. Just call me Mr. Magellan. I love it, man. I love it because it made it, that confirms so many things that have already been spoken, and
Hmm.
you just brought confirmation to it.
Oh yeah, and I really see, and I know we're about to close out your broadcast, but I really want to just encourage you, to continue to do what that, God has called you to do. Again, I go back to that trailblazer. You're leaving a blaze for someone's life. You're leaving the fire. You're leaving the examples on the trail for someone to pick up and go. When I look at
Yeah.
a trail, when I was in school, we had what you call 440 relays. We had to
Ooh,
run trails, right, to build up our endurance. So you can't even
I
be a
hated those.
trailblazer until you have endurance. So
I
the
hated
name
those.
fits you well because of what you had to go through. So I even
Mm,
see like a boys and girls type organization set up for you, but it's more or less for boys.
yeah.
I don't
Well,
know if this is something that you visualize or something you've prayed about, but I really sense that. So all the losses that you had to go through is going to build you up for what's getting ready to come to pass for your future. Because
yeah.
there's sons out there that needs fathers that are hurting, and there's fathers out there that need you that are hurting.
Yeah. That's been really heavy on my mind and my heart late. As of I won't even
Wow.
say as of late, but a lot. Not
Wow.
because of not because of just the loss of my own child, but also just thinking about, you know, how to help how to help a father navigate through that. You
Mm,
know, the emotional aspect of it, the mental health aspect of it. How to help a man navigate through all that stuff.
that is
Because
so good.
loss is something that we all will eventually have to deal with, whether it's
Yeah.
premature or whether it's not.
Hmm.
But we all have to deal with it. How we traverse that how we traverse that particular ocean is important. There's no
That's
method
good.
or rhyme or reason or madness to it. It's just how you traverse it. Um,
Hmm.
and if I can get a father and a son to learn from the mistakes that I made traversing that ocean,
Mm,
they can come out there, they can traverse the same ocean and come out to being seeing landfall a lot sooner than I did.
that's good.
And that's I mean that's and you confirmed that because I spoke to someone this morning,
Hmm.
and
I, s-
that's what we were
I
talking
sense
about.
it. I sense it so strong, even through the virtual waves here. I sense it,
We
and it's
yeah,
going to
we
happen
talked
for you.
same
Don't
we
stop
talked about it this
speaking.
morning.
I'm serious. Don't stop speaking on what you want to happen for your life. You speak to it every day, just like we speak to our lives every day with I am affirmations. You
Mm,
speak to it, and God will bring you the investors to help fund what you want.
yeah, and that's kind of sort of been that's the other thing. That's kind of I won't say the hurdle. Is to put it in relevant put it in relevant words to where it can
Hmm.
be it's not only is it discernible, but it's also it brings a connection.
Mm,
So I've been praying that I've been praying to God to ask me for the ask for the words to speak and the words to write.
that's good. Season, timing is
Oh yeah.
everything. Hmm.
Oh, let me tell you, this last year and a half, I've had to learn the concept of time and place.
Mm, the
Had to learn the
concept of
concept of
time
time
and
and place,
place. Wow.
and that was the hardest lesson that I've ever had to learn. And I don't think a lot of people understand that concept. They're like, well, I want this to happen right now. Well, what if you gonna be mad if it don't?
Hmm.
Well, I want this to happen. I still want it to happen right now. Well, what if God tells you no?
Mm,
Are you still gonna say yes?
wow.
And I ask that question to a lot of people that I know. If God tells you no right now, will you still say yes? Will your yes still be a yes?
Mm-mm.
Or are you gonna be like or is it gonna be a I don't know?
Wow.
People don't I mean, the concept of time and space, like I said, there was the hardest lesson for me to ever learn.
Hmm.
And I don't think too many people understand the importance of that concept. And for me, as well as other people, had to learn that lesson, and they had to learn, and we had to learn the hard way. And sleepless nights, so many tears shed. I'm like, but God, I want to do this right now. No,
Yes. Yes. And you
but
know what?
God,
And sometimes the no protect us from failure.
exactly.
It
And
really does.
delay is not a
And
denial.
yep, yep, yep. I believe that.
But God, I want to do this. No,
Yep.
please, and God, and I know God speaks to me the way I talk to Him. We, he's like, but please, bruh, I told you no.
Okay.
Don't let me tell you no. If I don't let me tell you no again. If I tell you no again, I'll put you on punishment. Look, I don't want to be on punishment. All right, we good, we good, we good. I don't want to be on punishment. I don't want that. But it's like I said, your book is so it's relevant, it's important, and
Hmm.
it's need it's needed in this time, in this era, this time that we live in. These these are still tumultuous times.
Hmm.
Still,
Hmm.
these are
Yeah,
still
I agree.
precarious times.
I agree. Hmm.
This book, I think, for a lot of people, this book will speak to a lot of what they a lot of speak to a lot of the questions that they have,
Hmm.
and it'll also let them know that the answers were already right in front of them, and all they had to do is just open up and open
Mm.
themselves up to those answers.
Yes. Yes.
So I do believe this is important and it's relevant, and it's your book is so needed. You are so needed.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You know, even now, even now more than ever, because of what you do into who and the people that you serve.
Mm.
You know, those are the ones those are the ones that benefit the most of from what you offer them and what you give them and what you speak and what you pour into them.
Mm.
More there are going to be more people that are going to come to you
I receive
looking
it.
for that same
Same.
thing, looking
Receive
for
it.
the things that you can
Same.
offer them, looking for the things that you can speak into them, what you can
Mm.
pour to them, the confidence level that you'll instill in them, the inspiration that you're going to give them.
Mm.
You know, the you introducing that concept of belief and movement, and they're gonna take that and they're gonna run with it, and they're gonna move in a positive direction. They're gonna move with purpose,
Mm.
and they're not gonna they're not and they're gonna run and they're gonna run, and
I receive
they're gonna
that.
take those concepts that you put into them, and even though
Mm.
they fail, they're gonna keep trying.
Keep trying, because like I said, you know what, life is like a math problem. You keep trying over and over again until you get it right.
Yep. There's no wrong way to come across a
Nope.
solution.
There you go. Yes.
Like you are an amazing person, and I am so glad that
Thank you, Lord.
we were able to connect um on that Saturday, and just even to have even to have a brief conversation, it was still so much value out of that conversation.
Yes.
And I am so glad, I am so honored and so proud to be aligned with you.
Thank
Um,
you, Lord.
I most definitely want to be able to um, be someone that can that can either help or add value to what you do.
Hmm.
Um, so I want to make myself as an open and available vessel for you.
Okay. Thank you, Lord.
It, so a lot of the things that you said that you're putting out here and that you put in this book is oh my God.
Hmm.
And I know I keep repeating it, but it's what's been what's sitting in what's sitting in my spirit right now.
Hmm.
It's was way it's way past time
Thank you, Lord.
for something like this to be out right now.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And You're the
And
time. The timing is
do you mind if I do the A to Z? Just give them like the headings of each
sure,
one of
most
those.
definitely.
Okay, because you're provoking me to do that. So listen. So the A represents affirmations. How do we speak to our situations when we can't move? You know, we either speak death or we speak life to the situation, right? Again, it goes
Right.
back to a choice. Believe is the B. Communication is the C. There's different ways to communicate, but you have to communicate when it matters to your heart. I
Yes.
talk about that, how I would just keep my mouth closed for the sake of peace, but I'm dying inside.
Mm,
I talk about determination. I talk about enthusiasm. You have to have enthusiasm. You have to find it from somewhere when you find yourself in situations that you can't move. Like we don't want to get up all the time, and we don't feel like moving. But you have to find
exactly.
some enthusiasm somewhere.
Exactly.
That's why it's so important that we associate with people that's going where we're going and believe in what we're doing,
That's right.
not just have people in our lives just to be in our life to say I know you, but not producing, not making me better.
Mm, mm,
I
mm,
talk about forgiveness. I talk about giving, how important it is to give in the season of famine,
mm.
because sometimes we stop giving, but that's the season that you need to give. Either it be time, your talent, tithe. But if
There
you
we
don't
go.
have anything producing financially, that don't mean you stop giving. What can I do
That's
to
it.
give of myself? What
That's
talent
it.
can I offer? I talk
Whew.
about hope. I talk about ingenuity. We have to understand that God has given us the ability to create wealth, even in the fire of life.
Ooh.
I talk about
Oh
it.
my
I
gosh.
talk about joy. I talk about kind. I talk about love. You talked about it, love. I talk about
Mm,
movement. I talk about never give up. I talk about the overcomer. And I talk about passion. What are you passionate about in life? Whatever you're passionate about is what you're supposed to be doing, which is your purpose.
that's it. Oof. Passion
I
equals
talk about,
purpose.
oh, yes. And I talk about the importance of quietness, because Lamentations even tell us it's good to be quiet. Not just be quiet, but wait while you're quiet.
Whew. A concept a lot of us don't quite get or understand.
And I'm learning. I'm learning. I talk about
Same here.
rejoice. I talk about strength. I talk about tenaciousness. I talk about uniqueness. So we don't need to be concerned about how somebody else is doing someone, because God has, he says over in Psalms 139 and 14 that he, you know, we're beautifully and wonderfully made in the image of God. That means he engineered us to be who we are. That means we don't have to go out there and get all these adjustments. For what? That means you, to me, I think it's identity crisis when you go out there and do that. You're saying that, hey, God made a mistake on your body. That's how I look at it. But when we
Nope.
understand that we are unique and we are designed to do a specific assignment, we're going to do it. I
That's it.
talk about victimization, because we always
Mm.
point the finger. The reason why I'm here is because of you. But no, it's a choice. I'm here because of the choices I made and what I had allowed in my space.
That's it.
Because it would not happen if I didn't give you the permission to do it.
That's it. That's it.
And then I
We
talk
get
about,
permission for folks to do that.
oh Lord. And then I talk about winning. I talk about the X factor. I talk about yes, like how important your yes is. And I talk about the zeal. Do not lose your zeal while
Mm.
you're in transition, because everything
That's
in
it.
life is not forever, it's temporary. So therefore you don't make decisions in a temporary season.
That's it. Look at I'm telling y'all, man, ladies and gentlemen, I need y'all. I need y'all to get this book, man. I'm telling you, this book is gonna change you. This book is gonna impact you. It's gonna bless you. It's gonna change your life. It's gonna have you think in a different perspective. how you view things, how you view people, how you view your interactions with people, how
Mm.
you view yourself.
Mhm.
I need y'all to get this book. I need y'all to get this book. And Ms. Z, I'm gonna give you this particular opportunity right now to give yourself a shameless plug to let everybody know, number one, who you are, where they can find your book at, and just where they can find you at on social media. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I'm just that motivator. I'm that person that's wanting to see you better today than yesterday. You can find me on IG under Bam Girls Rock, because believe and move girls rock. And then you can find me also on Facebook under Zenovdia Love. That's Zenovdia Love. I'm also on LinkedIn under Zenovdia Love at gmail.com. You can also find this book on Amazon. And I do thank Mr. Frederick for allowing me to be on this space tonight. And I pray and hope that um, when you get this book, your life will not be the same, that you will look at every nugget in this book and you will use every nugget to provoke movement, that every nugget in this book will cause you to move into the things that you're supposed to be functioning in. You have to realize
Oh,
who you are and whose you are. And when you can understand that, we'll all be trailblazers for the nation.
there we
So
go.
thank you
There we
so
go.
much. Thank you so much.
No, no, thank you. First of all, for just taking the time out to come out and just have a conversation with me. I am, first of all, I appreciate it. And also, I am just in awe of just the nuggets that were shared here,
Yes.
between you and I. I mean,
Mhm.
I know the people are gonna take this and they're gonna be like, yeah, we gonna have to find we gotta find that book. We most definitely gotta find
Yes.
that book. So man, I thank
Mhm.
you for
Thank
taking
you.
the time
Thank
out of
you.
your evening to
Thank
speak with
you.
me. It
Yes.
is most definitely most appreciated, and we most definitely are gonna connect again because I most definitely
Yes.
want to kind of connect with you on how I can bring this thing that I want for the men and boys to fruition.
Yes, yes. And they can also find me on my website is wownow.com. That's wownow.com. That's Women of Warfare Wins Now. Not later, but now.
Yes, indeed. Man, and this has been a great conversation with a truly, truly wonderful and powerful person here, and Miss Z Love. I promise you guys, go get that book, Bam, Believe and Move. She already just broke down the ABCs of it. All those ABCs, those letters that from love to zeal to uniqueness to forgiveness to, oh my God, there's so many nuggets that can be dropped in each one of these letters. One of those letters, or if not all of those letters, are gonna bless you in some way, shape, or form. This book, I promise you, this book will bless you. It will change your life perspective. It'll change how you view yourself, how you view other people, and how you view other things. So
Mhm.
most definitely, please go grab Believe and Move. Available right now on Amazon, and you can also check her out on all of her various social media platforms. An awesome and powerful woman of God with a great and powerful mission, and she takes that mission and she smiles. She presses forward and she
Yes.
smiles as she changes as she does it by changing one life at a time, one word at a time, one paragraph at a time,
Yes.
one chapter at a time. Ms. Z, thank you so very much for coming on.
Thank
It
you.
is you have blessed my soul, you have blessed my spirit, you have blessed my life. I
Praise
thank you
God.
for that.
And likewise, I'm literally like grateful for the opportunity to connect, with you through Lori, an amazing sister. She supports the BAM movement. And you know what? I'm just so forever grateful how God allowed us to reunite And she's just been a blessing, a blessing, a blessing, a blessing. And you know what? Even though transitions take place, when it's covenant relationships, you can always pick up where you left off. And that's how that relationship rekindled for us. So I'm forever
Yes,
grateful
indeed.
for Lori and her mission and her vision that God has given her in the area of domestic violence. So,
Yes,
yeah.
indeed. Such a powerful person there. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to end this episode of the Author's Alley with me, your host, Frederick Beatty, and my beautiful, beautiful, and powerful host. I won't call her host, but my guest, Miss Z Love. Oh my God, Bam! Believe and Move is available right now on Amazon. Go pick it up. Go read it. Get blessed. Get inspired. Get and just believe and move, guys. That's all I can tell. That's all I can tell you. Believe and move. Go pick it up. It's available on Amazon right now. What are you waiting for? Go get it
Go get it
right now. No, not
right
now, but right
now.
now. Go get it. But that's
Right
gonna end this
now.
episode. Yes, indeed. Go get it. What are you waiting for? Amazon. Believe and move. Go get it right now. Don't wait. The more you wait, the more you wait, the more time you waste. Go get it. Go get it. But that's gonna end this episode, guys, of the Author's Alley with me, your host, Frederick Beatty. Again, as I always say, you guys continue to follow us on our social media platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. We also have a web page. I think it's trail. I think it's pod. I think it's www.podpage.com/Trailblazers Radio. Don't quote me on that. I'll make sure that I get the correct page for you guys. But follow us there on our social media platforms. Also also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Caster FM, and anywhere you get audio podcasts. We upload those podcasts. We upload audio episodes of each episode that we do here weekly. And you guys, and those episodes will be available. Also, I forgot to tell you guys, follow us on our YouTube page, because that's where our broadcast, that's where we live stream our podcast too. We also have a Facebook page. We also make sure to follow that, because we live stream that there too. Just follow us, man, and follow my guest, man. Oh my gosh, she is a powerful lady, and I'm so happy to be aligned with her. And with that being said, that's going to conclude this episode. And the three things I always like to tell everybody as we conclude these episodes: number one, love on each other. Number two, be kind to each other. Last but most certainly not least, it's still a crazy world out here, guys. So please and please and please again, be safe. We love y'all. There ain't nothing you can do about that. And I want to bid you guys a good night. And I'm gonna take you home with a trailer of a upcoming movie called Cry Wolf from my good friends at Tiller Vision Productions. So with that being said, I bid you good night, and you guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
The Lupin Society is worldwide. There's nowhere you can run, and there's nowhere you can hide. The lands will run red with the blood of everyone you love.
Be careful out there. There's a serial killer on the loose.